Yo, how's it going everyone? My name is NEWBIE, and today I'll be showing you guys how to stay in newbie gains forever by utilizing this one graph. This one graph basically taught me how to break immediately out of my plateau, and after I broke out of my 2-year-long plateau, I was stuck in it for 2 years. Absolutely terrible time. I had the worst brain fatigue of my life. I was training super hard, I was eating very well, I was sleeping well, and I just couldn't break out of my plateau, right? So I'll be showing you guys exactly how to break out of that, how I did it, and how I've made sure it works for over 10 other people who have tried to put on this program. But I'm giving you all this information for free. You will never find this information outside because nobody talks about it. All of the fitness influencers are geared towards beginners. They're only going to help a beginner lifter do push-pull legs, right? That's all they want to do because that's the biggest audience they attract. But my audience is people who are intermediate lifters like yourself, who are on plateaus, and who need to change in order to build more muscle. So, like I said, nobody's going to tell you these things. This is what I looked like when I first started working out. This is not me on my plateau, but when I first started working out, I was a skinny 125-pound kid, okay? Like, absolutely super skinny, as you can see, quite underweight. Now this is me right here. I could not have got to this physique. I would have gotten stuck at a very mid physique. I don't have a picture of it, but it was a very mid physique that I was stuck at. It was, maybe 20 pounds muscle less than this. I was just stuck at that physique, and I was there for 2 years. It was very painful for me, mentally and literally physically, because my nervous system was fried, right? But this physique that I have right now would not be possible without this principle. So I'm going to stop gassing the principle up, and I'm just going to show it to you guys. I'll be showing you how you can design your own training program using the scientific principles I learned from my own experience after studying exercise science, becoming a certified personal trainer, a bodybuilding specialist, and all that jazz, right? So first off, let's talk about the average lifter's progress. So this is how the average lifter is going to see their muscle gain be, right? So the first year, damn, huge spike, right? 20 pounds of muscle, maybe 15 pounds of muscle. Second year, a little bit less, a little bit less. This is the average lifter. The reason this is the average lifter's progress is because obviously they're not giving their body new stimulus. Otherwise it wouldn't plateau. You're not ever going to plateau, ever, if you're giving your body the correct stimulus. Think back to newbie gains. Why were you making so many gains in the starting? Why was there a huge explosion in muscle that you gained, and then all of a sudden it started going down and down and down? It's because your body had never touched a weight before. As soon as you touched a weight, your body responded to that stimulus by building a ton of muscle, right? It responded to that threat by building a ton of muscle. After that, you kept doing the same push-pull legs over and over and over again. Your body's not going to respond anymore. It's not something new. If you want to make linear gains, you need to keep exposing it to a new stimulus. That's how you will stay on newbie gains forever. You just keep exposing it to a new stimulus, a new stimulus, a new stimulus. Your body has to adapt again and again. Arnold was right. All you have to do is just shock the muscle. All right? So yeah, like I said, they make a crap ton of gains here. A few gains in the second year. Year 3, maybe 5 pounds they gain. And then they're just stuck with a mid-ass physique right here. And this was my trajectory. 3 years in, I stopped gaining muscle, mid-ass physique, couldn't do anything about it. And they stop lifting heavy, they just give up. This is like the biggest filter, okay? Now, I'll show you guys exactly what I implemented into my training routine and how I had this progress instead. So, obviously I went through this. I was stuck here. But then after that, my progress exploded, like upwards. If you do this from the start, this is what your progress is going to look like. 20 pounds here, 20 pounds, 15. Obviously, it starts slowing a bit because you can never shock your muscle as much as you shocked it when you first started lifting weights, right? That's not going to happen. But you can just make linear gains almost if you implement the mesocycle process. Now, before we move on to explaining the exact graph that you need to understand intuitively, you need to understand this very well in order to break out your plateau. First off, you can have an objection, right? You can say, don't you just progressively overload and then you'll have a new stimulus? A lot of influencers tell you that you need to progressively overload, but think about it like this. How are you supposed to progressively overload if you don't get stronger, right? It's not like you're progressively overloading and that's why you're getting bigger. Every time you go to the gym, you should be lifting as heavy as you can, right? For 8 to 12 reps in the hypertrophy range to build muscle. But you won't be able to lift heavy. You won't be able to progressively overload if you're not getting stronger, right? So progressive overload is actually not what you have to do. Progressive overload is actually the result of you providing a stimulus to your body new every single time, right? So you'll be able to progressively overload if you train properly. It's not that you progressively overload and that gives you more muscle, right? That's just progressive overload is a side effect of you training properly. You'll be able to do that. Okay, so I hate it when people say just progressively overload, you'll get bigger. That's not true. At some point, you will not be able to progressively overload because you plateau, and you'll be trying to lift a heavier weight, but then you won't be able to do it, right? Or you'll do it for less than 8 reps, so under hypertrophy, which is not optimal, right? You want to be doing 8 to 12 reps always. Now we come to the juicy part. This is the gas principle, and this is the one most important graph you have to understand if you want to build as much muscle as possible. All right, so this is the gas principle, the general adaptation syndrome, okay? It has 3 phases, and you have to learn this, okay? So first phase is alarm phase, second phase is adaptation, and the third phase is the exhaustion phase, where a lot of you are just chilling right now. A lot of you are just in the exhaustion phase after your first year of lifting. Now, for your first year of lifting, if you just started lifting, right, 1 year in, and you haven't plateaued, you've just seen your gains slightly slow, just this video is not for you, right? You don't have to think about this. All you have to do is just keep doing push-pull legs, or your own split, upper lower. It doesn't really matter. Keep your own split for like a year, gain some muscle, but when you plateau, you have to start training in 6-week cycles. As you can see, it's 6 weeks. So this graph, on the left, the y-axis is muscle gain. It's not a numerical value because obviously I can't quantify it. It's different for everyone. But then here are weeks, right? We can quantify weeks, obviously. So studies have shown, science has shown, that for the first 2 weeks, and the gas principle is very scientifically studied, so you can this is all cited, and you can look this up, right? And this is how your body responds to stimulus. This is how your body responds to training stimulus specifically. For the first 2 weeks of a workout plan, the first 2 weeks, the alarm phase, you are not going to gain any muscle of any new stimulus. Your first 2 weeks of working out in the gym, you probably got a bit stronger, but you never gained any muscle, right? Obviously, you're not going to gain muscle your first 2 weeks of working out. No muscle gain, your weight will not change, okay? So that's called the alarm phase. Your body is actually in an alarm. So your body's like, okay, there's a new stimulus. This is dangerous. Do we have to adapt? If it continues for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is the rule of thumb, it's a bit different for everyone, plus or minus a few days, like 3 days. Is this dangerous enough for us to adapt to? Is it what your body thinks? It's what your nervous system thinks, okay? So this is the alarm phase. Your brain gets more efficient at driving neurons and motor neurons to your muscle, so you might get stronger here. It's not because you're getting muscle, it's because your brain is getting more efficient, your mind-muscle connection is getting stronger. It's just, like, okay, can we just get a bit stronger here? It's trying to do the minimal it can, because it doesn't want to implement all of the resources, right? It's not trying to implement so many proteins into building muscle if it doesn't need to. So for the alarm phase, all it's going to do is get slightly stronger. You're just going to get slightly stronger, but you're not going to pull on any muscle. This is for a new training stimulus. After the 2 weeks of alarm phase, this is the golden zone, adaptation phase. It's so good, okay? The adaptation phase is where you build muscle. You start building muscle at rapid rates in the adaptation phase, and you might notice this. If you start a new split, like it randomly decided to start a new split, you will start gaining like some strength, like a lot of strength, and you might even gain a little bit of muscle, but then you start plateauing again, right? Or you might plateau even faster than 6 weeks, and I'll explain why that is. But in your adaptation phase, right, this is where you want to be. You gain as much muscle as you possibly can. Muscle is gained every single time you're working out. Every single day you go to the gym, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get slightly bigger, and you can be sure that every time you get stronger, you're getting bigger as well, because the strength here is not neuromuscular strength, it's actual muscular strength, right? So you're getting bigger on the adaptation phase. Now, after 6 weeks, this is just rule of thumb. For a lot of people I know, it's 5 weeks. For a lot of people I know, it's 7 weeks. Someone I know, it's even 9 weeks. But the rule of thumb, on average, the 9 weeks is very rare. The rule of thumb, after 6 weeks, your body has adapted to a new stimulus, and you enter the exhaustion phase. This is where a lot of you guys are, because you've been doing your training cycle for over a year now, right? Over 6 weeks. As a newbie lifter, on newbie gains, like I said, obviously you don't have to follow this graph. It doesn't work because it's a huge stimulus, and your body will adapt for a long time. But once you hit that first plateau, you have to start training in 6-week cycles, max. 6 weeks max, right? Depending on, your biology specifically. For me, it's exactly 6 weeks. And for most people, it's exactly 6 weeks. So after 6 weeks, your body enters exhaustion, where your body is flooded with cortisol. You feel tired. You feel fatigued. You can't think straight. And it's just so suboptimal for gains, right? You get tired. You can start training harder. All you're doing is increasing your cortisol. You can start sleeping better. You won't be able to sleep that well. Your body is absolutely fatigued. It's filled with negative chemicals. You want to avoid the exhaustion phase. This is super catabolic. You actually break down muscle here. You actually lose a strength. So one workout you might do 8 reps, then the next workout you do 10 reps, then the next workout you do 9 reps. It'll just be like this, right? Very unstable. So after 6 weeks, trick is you want to change your workout. You want to change a few things, okay? You want to change specifically tempo, exercise selection, or volume, okay? For a beginner lifter, what I would say is you increase the volume and then change up your exercises. So tempo is for advanced lifters. Once you're on 5 years plus and you hit a plateau, this is something you can do because you need to get new stimulus, right? You can change any factor to get new stimulus. I would not recommend changing the rep ranges because 8 to 12 is for hypertrophy. I've tried changing rep ranges. When I tried to go to like 15, my muscles got tighter and smaller because they were adapting for endurance instead of hypertrophy. So stay away from 15 reps. Try to stay to 8 to 12 reps. Unless it's a heavy compound like squat, which we can go into in a different video. But for isolation, exercises like bicep curls and stuff like that, 8 to 12 reps, rule of thumb. You want to change after 6 weeks. Let's say you're doing push-pull legs, 6 weeks. After those 6 weeks, what you want to do is you want to stop doing push-pull legs, change up your split to something else. Let's say the Arnold split, right? It doesn't even have to be an actual existing split. You just make your own split. It's so simple. You make your own split. You can increase the volume for your shoulders, right? Increase the volume for your shoulders. Do different exercises for your shoulders. And if you want to change it up even more, start going very slow on the eccentric and then go super fast on the concentric, right? Change the exercise tempo. But once you do that, you'll notice that you will easily enter the alarm phase. It's a new stimulus, completely new stimulus. And then you'll enter the adaptation phase. And these 4-week cycles, right? These 4-week period from 2 to 6 weeks, you'll gain so much muscle. You might even gain 2 to 3 pounds of muscle every time you do this, right? And 6 weeks, it's like a month and a little bit. Okay, that's not even that bad. You're getting 3 pounds of muscle in a month. Imagine that, right? 2 to 3 pounds of muscle. In a year, what's going to happen to you? You'll be a monster, right? It's crazy. So this is all scientifically studied. This has all been proven. It's just nobody talks about it because everyone's trying to gear their advice towards beginners, and I'm not trying to do that, okay? So to recap, what you want to do is train in mesocycles, training cycles, for no more than 6 weeks. At the end of this, to avoid the exhaustion, you don't immediately just change it to add a new stimulus. Well, I have another video on this, but what you want to do is you want to include a deload week. During a deload week, you just take a week off from the gym. You do some like running, you do some push-ups, just to get the blood flowing, to recovery. You want to just recover. So after week 6, we do week 6 to 7, you take a deload week off from the gym, get your nervous system some time to recover. Then you switch up to the next split, okay? That's how you do the program, okay? So yeah, to recap, train in mesocycles no more than 6 weeks. At the end of those 6 weeks, include a deload week. Switch up your tempo, your exercise selection, or your volume between mesocycles in order to drive new stimulus and start a new adaptation phase, right? Or a new alarm phase, which leads to a new adaptation phase. Avoid the exhaustion phase at all times. Now, this graph, you can just search this up. It's called the gas principle. Search that up. Remember that graph and use that to make your own training program because you are not a beginner anymore. You need to train like an intermediate lifter. Now, I know this might be a lot of information to take in at once. It's a lot. This is absolutely non-mainstream, so you might not even believe it at once. Do your own research. I promise you will come to the same conclusions as myself. But if you want me to make the whole program for you, if you want me to optimize your program, make sure you're out of the plateau and making as much gains as physically possible, then go in the description, book a one-on-one call with me. We'll talk something out, and we'll find out how to optimize this exactly for you. That's it for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.